Okay, everyone, we're gonna get started. We'll keep adding people as they come in, but welcome. Um, as I said before, we're glad that you're here. I'm Allie Hinkle from the admissions team here at St. Mary's Riken. With me today, I also have Melissa Barrick, Amy Creechy, and Betsy Haley, who's our director of marketing. Nick Jaffers isn't with us today, but that's him in the middle, the only man on the team. He's also a football coach, so he is at Bishop McNamara today. Hopefully, go Knights. We do okay. Okay, the outline today is we're going to go through the application process kind of from beginning to end as if you had just decided you wanted to apply to St. Mary's Riken and where you would go from there. After we hit all of that in the application process, we'll have it open for questions and you guys can ask anything that may have come up as you've been looking through the application process. All right, where to start? To begin the application, visit our website, which is smrhs.org, and right on the homepage, there is a menu on the right-hand side, and midway down is an apply button. If you click on that, it's going to bring you to the account lookup page. We use a system called Veracross here at St. Mary's Riken. If you do enroll your kids at some point, they will use it for a whole bunch of stuff academically. It's an end-to-end system we use throughout our whole organization, but where we'll be concerned with it is looking up to see if you have an account yet or not. So you're going to put up your email address into the email address bar, and Veracross will look up and see whether or not you already exist in our system. Some reasons why you might already be in there is if your kids have ever done summer nights, if you've ever come to a recruit night before, or if you've had any other kind of interaction with St. Mary's Riken, it may be that you already have a Veracross account. Veracross is going to send you an email whether you're already in the account, whether you're already in the system or not, with instructions on what to do next. As you can see, this is an account for me. Today, we're going to be using my younger daughter, Cecilia, as an example, even though she will not be an incoming freshman next year. She's in 7th grade, so she's just going to be our guinea pig. And you can see it says, thank you for your interest in St. Mary's Riken. You already have a user account. And then it will give you the opportunity to log in. If by chance you don't remember what your login password was, that's okay. We have a link right there for you to reset your password. It's going to be using the same email address that you used in the account lookup. Once you get through that process and you log into Veracross, you're going to be in the admissions portal. You can see up at the top, centered over the girls, where it says admissions portal, there's a little pillar looking thing to the right. If you find that it doesn't say admissions portal and it says something different, perhaps you already have a student here, so it says parent portal, you're going to want to click on those pillars to bring you back to the admissions portal. That's where your new candidates are going to be. To access your admissions checklist for your candidates, you can either click on candidates at the top of the page, or you can click on that little pencil, little green pencil in the middle that says click here to access your admissions checklist. Another thing I wanted to bring to your attention is in the green box on the screen, it says steps to apply. That's also going to give you an overview of everything you need to do in order to access the checklist once we get to the next screen. So if you forget anything I said today, that screen actually gives you a lot of information. Okay, once we click into the admissions portal, this is going to be where your candidates are. If you have twins that are both applying at the same time, you might see 2 here. If you have other kids who may have done summer nights before, they may also have a profile in here. You're going to be concerned with whomever your student applying for the 26-27 school year is for grade 9. So you can see mine is CC Hinkle, and it says 0 of 2 required tasks complete. So we're going to click into her checklist by just clicking right on the button that says View Checklist. Once you click into her checklist, you're going to see a view that looks just like this. Her name will still be up in the upper left. When you upload a picture eventually, it'll be her picture up in the upper left. And it's going to tell you what tasks are complete. You can see there's actually 3 tasks that are listed on the left-hand side, but only 2 of them are required. It's going to default to the first one, which is night for a day. Night for a day is our shadow visit. It is not required, which is why it's got an optional next to it, and it doesn't have an orange star on the checklist side. For night for a day, Our visit dates are being finalized and our sign up link is live. So you can now go in through the checklist and sign up for a night for a day visit for your child. We really recommend this as a great way to see what life as a night is like. It allows your child to come and experience a day with a student. They get to come to 2 different classes. They have lunch with us on us, and then they get to go to X hour, which is our club hour. We're going to have you fill out a survey once you click into that to pick a date so that we can learn a little bit more about your student and make sure we pair them with somebody who's going to give them the best experience for them. So if they're into the fine arts, we will try to put them with a student who also does fine arts. If they're interested in the engineering program, we'll try to pair them with someone who's going to have an engineering class. We try to avoid putting them with anyone who has a study hall because those are kind of long to sit in if you don't have some work to do. And we do try to honor any requests you might have. So if you have a sibling that already attends or a friend that they would like to be with, we'll do our best to put them with that person. Just know that if we don't, it's because there was probably something existing in that student's schedule on the date that they're coming that we couldn't accommodate. We have dedicated days for many of the parochial schools in the area. If your school has a dedicated day, you will see it listed when you go to sign up. If you don't see your school listed, it means that we don't have a dedicated day and you should use one of the 10 open dates that we have available. Okay, application fee. It's one of 2 required items that you have to complete before you're going to be able to see the full checklist. So right now, our application fee is $25 until October 31st, at which time it will increase to $50, which is the regular rate for paying the admission fee. So it's a great time to start the application. That doesn't mean that you have to finish the application before October 31st. It just means if you get that application fee paid, you're going to save yourself $25 and get a jump start on the process as well. The second required item before the full checklist is visible is the additional information form. This is one we see people kind of ignore for a while because it is a fair amount of questions, but it's really important. It helps us get a better picture of who your student is and what they might be interested in when they come to St. Mary's Riken, so that when we see them on campus, if you've indicated they have an interest in running cross country, then we're going to try to put them together with Dr. Tennyson, who's our cross country coach, so that she can talk to them about what it's like to be on the cross country team. Or if they're interested in the flight program, we can make sure that Mr. Swift is available to talk to them. It also gives us a head start on seeing where they might end up when they get here. And if you're interested in any of the scholar program tracks, it puts us on our radar that they may be interested so that we can help you get ready for the HSPT. Okay, now this looks a little bit overwhelming, but hang in there with me. I'm going to show you 2 different versions of the checklist because they're different depending on if your child goes to an archdiocesan school, so one of the local parochial schools, or if your child goes to a public, private, non-Catholic school or is homeschooled. So we're going to start with Archdiocese of Washington. If you by chance are part of another archdiocese, it's very similar. You're going to follow this same process because all of the area archdioceses use the same forms. So you're going to have those first 3 that we already talked about, night for a day, the application fee, and the additional information form. And then the other required items are demographic data that helps us get to know more about your family and where your student is coming from. The high school placement test, which is required for entry and to be considered for entry. The student essay, which is required. And then the archdiocesan authorization to release records. And then the non-required items are the scholarship information, the financial aid policy, and the financial aid application. And we'll go into all of those in more detail. So for the Archdiocese of Washington schools, the authorization to release records should come home with your eighth grade teacher. It's the same sheet that you're going to use to release records to any other school you may be applying to that is a Catholic high school in the area. It's also how you sign up to take the HSPT. If by chance it does not come home to you with your student, you can get it through us. We can provide it to you, but they should also know what it is and should get it to you. those are due back to them by December 13th. So by December 1st, excuse me. And then they are due to us from the schools by December 13th. That's when they're going to give us all of the information they have on your child. So the benefit of coming from an archdiocesan school is they compile the the teacher recommendations for you. They have all the grades already put together and they all come over together. So once you fill out that authorization to release records, you can rest reasonably assured that they're going to get all that information to us. You're also going to use that form to sign up for the HSPT, and your students, if they go to an archdiocesan school, will take the HSPT on December 3rd at school. If for some reason your student cannot take the HSPT with their school, please contact the school as well as us, and we will figure out how to make other accommodations for them to take the HSPT. We offer it at St. Mary's Riken, but generally children who go to the parochial schools take it at school. Okay, so this is the checklist for public, private, non-Catholic, or homeschool. It's exactly like the other one with the exception of the archdiocesan release form. In place of that, you're going to have a transcript release form and also a math teacher evaluation and a language arts teacher evaluation. We still try to keep this reasonably simple for you. So as we click into the next screen, you'll do the transcript release form after the first quarter has ended. We want to see those first quarter grades for 8th grade, and you're going to give that to your office at your middle school. Then they will send the records directly to us. So you should be reasonably assured, and most of the middle schools around here are really great at getting us that information, that they're going to send it to us, and then we will upload it into their record. For the high school placement test, the registration will open on October 6th through the Archdiocese website, which is linked in the checklist, and it closes on December 1st. We prefer that you sign up for the HSPT given at St. Mary's Riken on December 6, 2025. There's also a makeup date in January if you are not available on December 6th. And you want to indicate that you want the scores to come to us. You can also indicate for other schools as well, but specifically make sure that you indicate that the scores will come to us. It's a little bit more difficult to get them after the fact. From public, private, non-Catholic, or homeschool, you're going to need to send out the request for math and language arts teacher evaluations. We keep this as simple as possible. What you're going to need is an active email address for their current math or language arts teacher and language arts teacher. Once you put that information into Veracross, it sends the request to the teacher. They go online and fill out the evaluation, and it comes directly back to us. And we can track that all from our end. So we'll see when you put the email address in. If a period of time, they're teachers, so they're busy, so give them several weeks. But if a period of time goes by and you don't see that complete, even though you've filled in the email address, please contact us. Sometimes the email address goes in incorrectly or someone is on a leave of absence. Sometimes we need to go back in and put in a new email address and readdress. Unfortunately, we need to do that. So if you're seeing no movement, please reach out and we will go in and see what we can do on our end. Okay, I think that covers the highlights of the checklist. Things like the essay, when you click into the item on the checklist, you'll see there are 3 different prompts. We do not want your child to use artificial intelligence when they write their essay. The essay is really for us to see how they write and for us to get to know them better. You'll see that the prompts are aimed at learning a little bit more about them, in addition to seeing how they write. So encourage them to do it themselves. Editing is fine, but please don't use AI. We can usually tell. With that, I'm going to turn it over to Melissa, who's going to go over some important admission dates and events, and then we will open it up for questions.
Hello, everybody. Thanks for taking the time to join us today. I am just going to go through some of these important dates. First, want to lead with the fact that we just started an Instagram account for our admissions team, and we will have all these important dates scheduled so that you can know that they're coming up. So I'd highly recommend you head over to Instagram and find us there at SMR_admissions. We'll be posting all these deadlines as well, so you can kind of keep up real time with us, also on our website. The biggest one here is, and this really helps us out and just gets everything in to consideration, is our application deadline is Friday, December 12th. That is should be plenty of time to have your student write their essays, to get all the teacher recommendations that you might need, sign up for the HSPT, all those things. We ask that you please try as hard as you can to meet that deadline of December 12th. Some of the things like your HSPT score won't be back necessarily in time, but your student will have taken it by that date, which is really what we need to fulfill that checklist item. So that's an important date to remember. Mark that one on your calendar. Is December 12th. If you plan to apply for financial aid, we will be doing that through FACTS this year. If you're unfamiliar with FACTS, it's a third-party review system, and you'll input all your information there. That application for financial aid is not open yet, but that deadline will be January 23rd. So you have a little bit of time there. That application does take a little bit of time sorting through tax documents and things like that. So you'll want to gather all that information that you have before you start your application. Just makes it go a little smoother. We do have several essay scholarships available. All of that information is on our website. You can see some of the names of these essay scholarships listed. What is required for those is on our website in our admissions tab. That deadline is Sunday, January 4th by 4 p.m. Those are emailed into the particular email address that you are of the essay that you're applying for. And that's due January. And then our decision date, once all of our scholarship applications, all those things have been submitted, our decision day is Thursday, February 19th. So that's when we mail out decisions, whether you've been accepted. And it should be happy mail day for your student. You'll also get it in an email along with a special little surprise tucked in that email for you. So we will email those out on Friday, February 20th. So they get mailed on the 19th, and then you should receive them on the 20th. And let's see. Okay, so the fun part about the application process, once the hard work is done, or throughout the process, we have several events during our application season that makes it really fun for the eighth graders who are applying and parents too, just to see what we're about, see what it's like to be a student here. As Ms. Hinkle said earlier, the Night for Day visits are probably the best way for your student to see what it's like to be a student here on campus. They get to come spend several hours here. We do our best. It's part of my job is to match students up with one of our St. Mary's Riken students, and they get to shadow along with them, go to some classes. They get to have lunch here. That's on us. As we mentioned, we do have dedicated days for our Archdiocese schools. Those are all listed in one form. There should be a separate link for that. So if your school is listed there, you click that link, and then pretty much any other school will be on the other link. So when you go to the Night for a Day page on our website, you'll see those two links. And if your school is not listed on the public, non-Catholic, private, or homeschool link, there's a space for you to input what school your student does attend. That way we can keep track of that and put it in their profile as well. So those start in October. The sign up for those is open now. So you can head to our website and schedule one of those. And then they'll go through December. After that, we are very busy little elves at that point, working on processing applications and getting everything that we need to and sorted out there. So Night for Day is a great experience. Hopefully, your student will be able to do that. We have an open house on Sunday, October 19th. It's from 1 to 4. And this is another great way for the entire family to visit campus. We invite you, bring a friend, bring lots of friends. It is the whole campus will be open at that point. You can meet teachers. You can learn about our curriculums here, our academic programs. You can take tours. You can take multiple tours. You can see all of our athletic spaces and our performing arts spaces, our visual arts spaces, our sailboats and our dock, our tennis courts, turf fields, all those things. STEM Academy, I'm sorry, STEM Lab and Flight Academy will be open. And it's kind of an all hands deck on deck approach to the day. So it will be a busy day, but there's somebody to talk to if you have questions. And there will be lots of people here to ask. That RSVP link is on our website, and we encourage you to RSVP just so we have an idea of how many people will be there. There's a fun little scavenger hunt that you can complete and turn in for a prize if you complete it. So it's a really fun day, kind of an open campus. Please bring a friend, but also please RSVP if you're able to. We also mentioned the HSPT, which we offer here at St. Mary's Riken. That's on Saturday, December 6th. As Ms. Henkel mentioned before, if you are attending a Catholic school, ADW Catholic school, your student will take that with their class on December 3rd. But if you are unable to make that, or your student is sick or something like that, you can jump into one of the open days on December 6th, and then there's a makeup day in January. The sign up for that, it's not quite open yet. They usually release the registration for that in early October. So you'll be notified when that opens. Hopefully very transparent. We'll post it on our Instagram and our website as well, so you'll be aware. And then there will also be a link in the checklist for you to register for that. So when you find that it's, you just keep checking back in your checklist around the beginning of October to find that link, and you'll be able to sign up with that. And what we need from that, which will complete your checklist item, because I'm a checklist girl, so I like to make sure those things are checked, is to get that confirmation number, and it's a random letter number that you will input into your checklist, and that will complete that checklist item. So that happens in early October, and then the test itself is in December. We receive those test scores back once the testing is complete, and then we upload the form, the results of that, into your student's checklist. Let's see. Scholarship Day. If your student plans to audition for a scholarship, we have several merit-based scholarships available for your student to apply for. Scholarships are only available to incoming freshmen. So this is an important piece for you to know so that you can prepare your student, they can get ready. The scholarship awards are given the same amount for all 4 years of their high school here. So once you apply and if your student is awarded a scholarship, then they don't have to worry about applying multiple times. So that's a good thing. For the merit-based scholarships, which is our performing arts scholarships, so chorus, band, dance, and there's an visual art scholarship as well, and there's a leadership scholarship. Those we make it a whole day where students come, they sign up for a time slot, and they audition for their scholarship. So more information on that will be released as we get a little bit closer there. And you can sign up, maybe take a look at what is required for each of those scholarships and see if your student is interested in applying. So there's no limit to how many you can apply for. So if you have a multi-talented student, then I would encourage them to apply for them all if they so choose. That is in January on a Saturday. It's usually in the morning. So you're aware of that. And then finally, our registration day, that is March 13th. It's a Friday. Like Scholarship Day, you will sign up for a time slot and you will come. This is, of course, after decisions have gone out. And if you have decided that you want to attend St. Mary's Riken for the following school year, we will invite you to registration day and you will get to sign up for classes for your freshman year. So it's a really exciting day. It's a really fun day, hopefully for students where they really get more exposure on campus and they get to see what it's about and just feel like they're just welcome into the SMR community. So it's a really fun time. And that is Friday the 13th. And that's all I have as far as events. But like I mentioned before, all the timelines and dates and things will be emailed early and often, and also posted on our Instagram page. So I encourage you to follow us along there. And of course, we're reachable by email and at the admissions at smrhs.org email address. And we also have a live chat function on our website as well. You'll see some of our faces pop up, and you can chat with us live. So thank you.
Thanks, Melissa. If anyone has any questions about anything that we covered, or if you have any questions that we didn't cover, please feel free to put them into the chat, and we will answer them.
While we're waiting for questions, can I add a couple things? I just wanted to mention that Ms. Haley has put a lot of links into the chat. So if you want to open that up and click on those links, and maybe save them as favorites, they'll help guide you through admission season. The second thing that I wanted to mention is, if your child attends an ADW Catholic elementary school, they may or may not have a dedicated night for day date. Some schools who send almost their entire 8th grade class and they ask for a dedicated day. So just make sure you follow those night for a day sign up instructions carefully to make sure you pick the right link. And then the last thing that I wanted to say is, I know that if this is your first time applying to St. Mary's Riken or to a Catholic high school, it can be very overwhelming. And we covered a lot of information today. But what I would say is, if you follow along and read the emails that we send you, you will not miss anything. I know everybody receives too much email. I know I do, but if you get emails from St. Mary's Riken Admissions, it's because we're telling you something is coming up. And so don't panic. Don't feel like you have to remember every single thing we covered this evening. Just keep an eye out for our emails. And if you read them carefully, they won't let you miss any deadlines.
All right, admissions team, we do have some questions here in the chat. The first one is, do we offer bus transportation?
Yes, we do offer bus transportation. If you happen to reside in St. Mary's County, I think we might be the only county in the country where we offer bus transportation for both public and parochial schools. So you can sign up for the bus just like you would for public school if you live in St. Mary's County. Outside of St. Mary's County, we do offer transportation. What you do is sign up for bus transportation, and then they build the bus stop list from there in the summer. They'll pick you up in the morning, and then we have two home buses available either right after school after dismissal at 2:40, or we now have a 6:15 bus for students who play any sports or do any after school activities, or we also have a homework lab where they can stay after school in a designated area with a monitor and do their homework before they get on the bus if you have someone who would prefer to do their homework before they go home. But yes, we do offer a bus. It is an additional charge, but we just recently changed bus companies. So now we use a new bus company. All the buses are new within the past 2 years. And so far we've gotten a lot of positive feedback.
All right, and then we have a question about the scholarship competition. Can two students present for the leadership scholarship together?
No, because the scholarship is an individual scholarship, each student would present individually. You can certainly sign the two students who would like to prepare together to go back to back if you're early in the sign up process, and they can certainly help each other prepare, but we would want to hear from each student specifically about their own presentation for the leadership scholarship. Bus transportation to the base. Since the base is in St. Mary's County, I don't know specifically where the bus stops are from here to there, but I would imagine that the bus does travel to or near the base. The way the bus transportation works here in St. Mary's County is you're going to arrange it in the summer. You call the bus coordinator. They're really, really helpful. Tell them where you want to be picked up and where you want to be dropped off. They deal with a lot of households where there's different drop-offs per day, depending on whether mom or dad has the child that day. So they're very flexible, and they can certainly help you figure out things like that. I don't know specifically if one stops at the base, but they would be able to tell you.
And they typically do customize the bus routes each year depending on where the students live.
Okay, one more question. How does the academic scholarship process work?
For academic scholarships, we offer a principal and a president's scholarship. Those are based on HSPT scores, your GPA, and it's different from year to year, which makes sense if you think about it's very much dependent on the group of students that we have apply on any given year. So I can't give you a number on the HSPT that your child has to get in order to be considered for a president or a principal scholarship. We aggregate all the information we get from all of our applicants and we make a spreadsheet that basically ranks them with all of those components taken into account, and we award as many scholarships as we can. So it's dependent on the number of students who apply, the achievement level of those students, as well as the money that we have available to give out for academic scholarships. We are a nonprofit, and the Archdiocese does not offer a lot of support for high school students. Therefore, the majority of our aid and financial aid and scholarships comes from our own resources. So that can also vary from year to year.
Thanks, Allie. If a student takes the HSPT at SMR, what is the process to have the scores shared with other schools that a student applies to?
Of course, you're going to fill out your application to, not your application, you're going to register for the HSPT and you get to pick, I believe, 3 different schools, it might actually be 4, that they will send them to automatically after your child takes the HSPT. If you have additional schools on top of that 4, it's $15 per school to have the scores sent to those other schools. I would encourage you to do that in advance. It gets a little bit more complicated to get the scores to places after the test has been taken, because the Archdiocese of Washington contracts with Scholastic Testing Services. They're not really allowed to give out the scores without permission from Scholastic. Scholastic can't give out the scores without your permission. So I would sit down before you take the HSPT and make sure you've indicated the schools that you would like to receive scores ahead of time.
Okay, do you review the full middle school transcript for class placement or only the first quarter of 8th grade?
We review the full transcript. We look for trends from 6th grade to 8th grade. We concentrate a lot on 7th grade grades, right? Because kids are works in progress. We all know that. I have 2 of my own. They're definitely different and both works in progress, but they're going to improve throughout middle school. So we look to see improvement trends. So please don't panic if you had a rough 6th grade year, or if 7th grade is starting off rough, that's okay. We look for improvement, and we take the whole student into account, but we look at all of 7th grade, and then we also want those beginning of 8th grade scores. If for some reason we need more information, we may ask to see grades after the first quarter of 8th grade. That doesn't happen all the time, but occasionally, if we just need to see a little bit more of what the progression is going to be, we may ask for those. These are great questions, guys. What else you got? Well, if there aren't any other questions, we'll leave it open for another minute. Oh, there we go.
How many AP and honors courses are available?
I have to
I
look
do
at my
have that
notes for
number.
that.
There are 29 AP courses and 39 honors courses. And 29 fine arts courses.
I'm not sure what the summer student program is referring to. We have summer nights, which is summer camp throughout the summers. Those are for everybody through rising ninth graders. So if you have an eighth grader this year, they can come to camp in the summer. Um, if it's not that, then I think I need a little more information to be able to answer that.
There's a question about, do you offer college credit courses?
Yes, so as we mentioned, we offer 29 AP courses, so the students are required to sit for the AP exam when they take an AP course here at St. Mary's Riken. So we try to get them to score 3 or 4 or 5 so that they will get some kind of credit going into college. We also offer dual enrollment, so there's several classes they can take that will get them credit while they're in high school for college classes. Class size is about 20 to 1. There's occasionally a class that's slightly bigger than that. Those are usually freshman classes where you're dealing with more introductory topics like, Algebra 1. The ratio of instructors to students is 11 to 1. Freshman experience. I'm sorry, Demetria. That would have I should have thought of that. You shouldn't have had to say it, but yes, we do offer freshman experience. It is our, as you said it perfectly, it is our summer intro to high school. We offer it for 2 weeks in the summer. Your student only needs to, they don't need to attend either, but they can attend one or the other. I have a freshman this year, and so does Mrs. Barrick. Both of our kids attended Night for a Day. It's not in uniform. They come in their regular clothes, but it's kind of a more laid back introduction to high school where they're just on campus with freshmen. They get to go through some classes that they're actually going to take. So at this point, their schedule will already be built. So they get to pick to take one of their classes and they go meet with the actual instructors and talk about classwork and how they're going to submit assignments. It's just a little bit of a slower pace than orientation, which we really got to get you moving because we're 2 days before school starts at that point. This is a little bit slower, a little bit more white glove service. We get your iPad all set up for you. Any kinks that we might have there, we'll address in the summer so that when you come to orientation, everything is ready to go. And you get familiar with the campus. If you've never been on our campus before, we are very much a college preparatory high school, and that includes the campus. There are several buildings. 28, how many acres, Melissa? I always mess it up. 760.
87.
87, thank you. I knew it was high. It's a lot of acres, guys. We don't walk on all of those, but there is a lot of real estate. So if you have, for instance, a class that's at the bottom of campus in Rupert, and then you have a class in Pascal, it might be intimidating on your first day thinking about having to go between the two. But when you come for freshman experience, you get to see you can really walk back and forth between Rupert and Pascal twice in the 10 minutes that we give you between class. I know because I've done it. And it just gives them a little bit more confidence about the experience and a little more familiarity. But it is not compulsory. You do not have to do it. We encourage it, especially if you have a kid who might need a little bit of extra time getting used to the high school environment.
Okay, Allie, we do have a question up here about outside scholarships and grants. Can they be used towards tuition?
Absolutely. This year we saw some great scholarships from the Knights of Columbus. We saw some scholarships from local, other local like brotherhood groups in the area where the student had a relative who was a member and they sponsored not just an iPad for them, but for several other students too. So absolutely, we encourage you to use all your resources, and we will absolutely accept outside scholarships.
Can you also talk about how courses and the schedule is built for incoming ninth graders?
Absolutely. That's one of the reasons that the HSPT is so important. So we do see a lot of grade variation across different middle schools, of course, because you have different people teaching. You go from private to public, everything's a little bit different. The HSPT is standardized, so it gives us an idea of where your child sits in terms of all the core subjects. Use that as a way to put them into classes. We also look at the classes they've already taken, and if for instance, you have a child who took algebra in 8th grade and didn't do well on the HSPT. So we put them back in algebra for freshman year, and you disagree with that, we have a math placement test that they can then take. We also offer a language placement test. We offer French, Latin, and Spanish. So if you have a student who's taken Spanish for a couple years in middle school, we encourage them to take the Spanish placement test. It means they may be able to place out of Spanish 1 into Spanish 2. And then, that means they can get more Spanish in their high school career, or it means that they could fulfill the requirement for language, which for us is 3 years, a little bit earlier and have room in their schedule for other things. We spend a lot of time building schedules. We spend a lot of time making sure that students get what they want. That is why registration day is so important. You get to sit with a counselor. They listen to what you want to do, things that you're interested in. We try to figure out how to get you going on your high school career on the best possible foot.
Thanks, Sally.
This recording will be available later, and we will also make the presentation available so that you guys can refer to it later on if you want to look at some of the screenshots and compare. And I encourage you to use the live chat function that we have on our website. It is available during office hours when we are normally at school, so Monday to Friday, about 8 to 4, and you're actually talking to a human. You'll see a little picture pop up, and if it has my picture or Melissa or Amy's beautiful pictures, it's actually them that you're talking to. We're sitting at our computer and we're trying to answer your questions. So if you're a person who does not love to talk on the phone, but would like to have one-on-one service, even still, please utilize that function. We are happy to help you with anything you need help with. It is our job. You are not inconveniencing us. We're all on the same team, which is to get your kids started in high school.
Can you talk about the essay prompts for the application?
Sure. I don't have it right in front of me right now, but there are 3 different essays. You get to pick one of them. We would like you to write 500 words. Once you get into the checklist and pay the application fee and do the additional information form, you can see all of the essay prompts. They are designed to discourage the use of AI. Trust me, I love ChatGPT just as much as the next person, but it's really important for us to see a sample of writing from your student, and it's really important for them to put a little bit of themselves into it. You'll see that the questions are designed to hear a little bit more about who they are. That helps us get to know them, because really we are vested in making sure they succeed, and it's one of the ways that we familiarize ourselves with who they are so that we can put them in the best position.
Okay, we have a new question here. Can you talk a little bit about the average financial aid or grant that students are awarded?
Sure. Average financial aid from last year, and this number does change from year to year, was $3,400. We do encourage everyone who thinks that they might want to come to apply for financial aid. Please, 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 if you have been denied before at a parochial school, high school is a different story. The Archdiocese of Washington does a great job supporting elementary parochial school. They offer a lot of support. Unfortunately, they concentrate on elementary and middle school. So you might think you don't qualify because they concentrate on making sure need is available to the neediest people. We understand that we charge tuition that is much higher than elementary and middle school, and we encourage you to apply even if you've been turned down before. It's a different story in high school, and we do our very best to help everybody get a Catholic education.
Does St. Mary's Riken offer a sibling discount?
We do not advertise a sibling discount, but if you apply for financial aid and there are 2 of you applying, we take that into account when we award financial aid. So it isn't a codified amount. It's also based on your financial need. But we know sending 2 students here at the same time is expensive, and that is absolutely something that we take into account when awarding financial aid. You can also, we only require you as a convenience to apply for financial aid one time. So we ask that you do it before freshman year, but if you find that your financial situation changes, I know that there's a lot of uncertainty about people getting reduced in force, especially in this area. We have a lot of government workers. We understand that. if something changes in your financial situation, that becomes a barrier to you continuing to send your children here, please tell us. We will ask you to fill out another fax application, but we try to respond to your need and make sure that we can do the best for your kids to keep their education consistent and keep them here.
Allie, is there a placement test for honors or AP classes for rising ninth graders?
That is the HSPT. So that is the barometer that we use to determine whether they're eligible for AP or honors classes. We have pre-AP classes. There's only a handful of AP classes that we offer to freshmen, and it's usually if they're in one of the scholars tracks. The scholars tracks are also based on HSPT score though. And if you're interested in those kind of classes, those are things you're going to discuss with your counselor when you come to registration day. And they will already have a rough schedule outlined for you that we will have built for them. But all of those things are up for discussion. You can petition to be in an honors class if you were not placed in one. There's a process for that. And then, as I said, there's a math placement test and a language placement test that you can go through if you feel that your child should be placed in a higher level. So I see the question about the financial situation changing shortly into the first year. So I know that's hard, and it's hard to know there's uncertainty, but we need something in writing or some kind of documentation. Unfortunately, we can't award financial aid based on something that could happen. And especially right now, because we're getting a lot of those. When the change happens, tell us, and we'll go from there. We're not going to abandon you. We want to help, but we do need actual documentation of a change.
Allie, on average, how many students take the HSPT at SMR per year?
At our general seating on the 6th, I expect that we'll have close to 100. We don't usually fill all the way up because we're way down here in the county. But we do generally get pretty full. We have a lot of kids in the area who are looking to come to St. Mary's Riken and or considering it, and you need that score for that. We also usually see 25 to 50 on the second test that we give in January. So somewhere between 120 and 150 altogether.
Allie, what is the acceptance rate?
Our acceptance rate this past year was 93%. The big things that will keep you out are behavioral. You know, what we want, as I said before, you know, we're looking for kids who are trying and are on an upward trajectory. We're not looking for perfect kids. We're not looking for all 90% on the HSPT kids. We're looking for good citizens who are going to be good contributors to the culture here at St. Mary's Riken and who have room to grow, because we want to help with that. Kids aren't supposed to be perfect when they get to high school. They're not going to be perfect when they leave. Hopefully, if we do our job right, we help them get to the best version of themselves by the time they get ready to go to college. So we have a high acceptance rate because we have a lower application rate given where we are geographically. But I also think that's part of our Xaverian mission is to take kids where they're at and help them be the best version of themselves.
We have a question here about the HSPT. If a student took the test in 7th grade, do they have to take one this year as well?
So if they took it in 7th grade, it was likely the pre-HSPT, which is the practice. That's just to get them familiar with the timing of the test. A lot of kids these days are not accustomed to taking a time test, which the HSPT is. That means you need to place the emphasis on answering as many questions as possible, as opposed to like on map testing. I know they just continue to give you time until you finish. That's not the case with the HSPT, which is why we offer a practice in the spring for 7th graders. That is not a score that we use for to be considered for acceptance. So they need to take an actual HSPT And we prefer they only take it once, so one time of the HSPT in 8th grade.
Thank you. We also have a question here about the monthly tuition payment without any financial aid.
So that depends on a lot of factors, most of which are what payment plan you use. We offer 11 different payment plans, I believe. So you can choose to pay 20 times per year. You can choose to pay 11 times per year. You can choose to pay 10 times per year. You can choose to pay 4 times per year twice, or you can pay in a lump sum. So we offer a lot of different ways to break up that payment to make it what you need when you need to have it. So we usually have you work with the business office to figure that stuff out. After acceptances go out and after registration, then we kind of deal with the nitty gritty of tuition payment. Any last questions? For the essay scholarships, we see quite a lot of people apply. So I think it's important to know that going into it. It depends on the essay. You'll read the prompts, and the leadership one requires that you come and do a presentation. Community service, there's 2 steps, right? You need to write the essay and then also a transcript of your community service. So a lot of times those 2 steps are a barrier to entry for people, and there tends to be fewer kids who apply for that. I'd say we get between 35 and 60 applications per essay competition. And each of those, also in the way of managing expectations, are judged by a different group of people. So those different essay competitions are for specific scholarships that people have endowed. So people related to those scholarships are the ones who judge. They're picked by a group, and we don't have anything to do with the judging of the essays, and they don't have anything to do with each other. So you can have your child apply for all of them, and each of the essay panels, I'm butchering this, but what I'm trying to say is there isn't any overlap between the people judging the essays. So you can have your child write 4, and they won't be penalized because they applied for the other ones, if that makes sense. We do not offer any full scholarships. You can apply for all of them. There are some limitations if you read in the merit scholarships, for instance. They're in the performing arts or the fine arts. Some of them have a class component that can be a limiting factor in terms of actually executing the requirements for the scholarship once you're a student. But you can try for all of them, and then we can figure out which ones you accept if you are, top tier singer, dancer, actor, tuba player, artist. We would love your kid to apply for all of those, and I hope that they are talented enough to get them all because we really would like them to come here. The only limiting factor would be the classes that are required for them to take. Yes, you can use up to $10,000 of your 529 plan per year to pay for high school. More information about that, I believe, is on our website. It's also on your specific 529 website, but $10,000. There is not a writing fine arts scholarship specifically. I would direct you to the essay scholarships. Those are the ones where being a phenomenal writer are really going to benefit you. That's a great question. Financial aid adjusted based on the scholarship a student receives. Those are separate pots, but all still from the same pot because all of the money is coming from us. But you should apply for financial aid if you're going to apply for scholarships, and you should rest assured that if you have financial need, you will probably qualify for something in financial aid. Ultimately, it's all part of, financial aid, grants, and scholarships. They all come out of the bucket of money we have to give from, but they are in different silos in that bucket, if that makes sense. Percentage of students that are Catholic is 53. Mandatory worship times, we do have them come to all schools mass once a month. Mrs. Barrick has a son who goes here who is Catholic. Mrs. Barrick is not Catholic. I know that she has been to mass several times with me. We have a wonderful priest who celebrates mass with us, and I will say that he always gives a homily that is aimed at the kids, regardless of if they're a practicing Catholic, regardless if they are at all religious. He gives them something to take away from that experience that's useful for them in terms of character development and just life. He's a young guy, and he gets it. He gets that he's talking to a room full of teenagers, and he tailors it appropriately. We do require that students take theology classes, but once again, our theology department is phenomenal. They actually, the curriculum that they have developed is looking to be copied in some of the other Xaverian Brothers schools because it's so good. It focuses on big questions. It focuses on learning and not so much on identity, if that makes sense. You can learn a lot from the theology classes here at St. Mary's Riken, no matter what you practice or if you practice anything. And they make a point of making that the point. We want your kids to feel involved and valued, whether they come to us as a Catholic or not. We do not require a face-to-face interview in most cases. At this point, we hope that we see you, though. We hope that you come for a night for a day visit. That's when we get the opportunity to meet your children. We hope that you come for open house and I get to shake your hand and meet you. But right now, it isn't a requirement. It's not something we have the bandwidth to do right now. Though I would love to do it because I just love to get to talk to all of them. But I know that can be a little daunting for them. So you can tell them they don't have to worry. They won't have to sit in a room with Mrs. Hinkle unless they really want to. Okay. I think we've reached 5 o'clock. So unless anyone else has any more questions, I can take one or two more. I think we're gonna wrap it up. Remember all the different ways to get in contact with us. The schedule, I will answer that one. The schedule is a block schedule, but it also rotates because we're down here in St. Mary's County and we participate in WCAC athletics. We rotate our schedule. You take 4 hours each day. So there's A day, B day, all the way through H day. At the end of the 2-day cycle, the classes at the bottom of those first 2 days go to the top. That way we don't take your athlete out of the same class consistently when they have to travel for sports. That way, if you have a student who's just really not a morning person, we don't stick them in pre-AP geometry with statistics at 8:10 every morning, if that's really not their time to shine. It's designed with the kids in mind. I have a daughter who's learning to navigate it now. She's actually staring at me as I talk about her. But it takes a minute for them to learn it. Once they learn it, I think they like that they don't have the same class at the same time every day. It gives them an opportunity to kind of see their teachers at different times. And it really is helpful if you're traveling for sports to not miss the same class over and over again. I really appreciate everybody who came and listened today. It has been great. when I think I estimated low, but when we were talking before the meeting about how many people were going to come, I think it was wishful thinking because I was public speaking, but I said 5, and you guys have far exceeded that. So awesome. We're here to help you. Please reach out. You can email admissions@smrhs.org. You will get myself, Mrs. Creechy, Mrs. Barrick, as well as Mr. Jaffers. We will all get those emails. We all monitor it. We will get back to you. If you call, we will call you back. If you live chat, we will chat with you. It's our job to help you, so please don't sit on a question. Please ask it, raise your hand. We are never annoyed. If I sound annoyed, it's because I haven't had enough caffeine yet. Give me a minute and I'll get there and we'll get the answer together. Thank you guys for coming.
Thank you.